You know, I love watching me a good case of Trump derangement syndrome, but I've been going over the news heavily here for the past few months, and I think I've noticed something. I think Donald Trump actually might have the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome I've ever seen. He cannot stay out of the news. Every single day there is some sort of headline that has something to do with Trump. Trump derangement syndrome is more pervasive than COVID, than the bird flu, than any other, like the common cold. I think more people get TDS than the common cold. I'm coming out. I'm saying that right off the jump. That's what I believe. Yes. What's up, everybody? How the hell's your day going? I hope y'all having a pretty good day. We got a very slow news day, but all kinds of stuff going on, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that because why the hell not? Why the hell not? Did y'all catch the debate last night? The Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom debate. I honestly thought that Gavin Newsom was going to kind of destroy Ron DeSantis, but Ron DeSantis held his own. I think he may have came out on top even. Ron DeSantis did pretty damn good. Of course, when you're Gavin Newsom and you're trying to defend California and some of the stuff that's been going on in California, that's kind of a hard job, and the deck was definitely stacked against Gavin Newsom on that one, but, whatever. He did say unequivocally that he is not running for president whatsoever. No, not doing it at all. So, now, when he does run for president, we're going to know he's lying. As if we didn't already know that. But, what's up, y'all? And if y'all could, right quick, do me a big favor. As you know, I always ask if you could smash that like button for me. It would be a big help and a favor, and I would appreciate it a whole lot. And if you're new around here, this is Legitical Response. We cover political news, stuff you're not going to hear in the mainstream for whatever reason, whatever they don't want to cover it. We like to keep up with what is going on in the government because it is very important to how our country runs, right? They say politics is downstream from culture, and it is. But what's going on in the government is very, very important because it's stuff that pertains to me and you. How we live, how we go about our daily business has a lot to do with what goes on in the government. So I like to keep us informed. I like to keep everybody knowing what's going on there. So if you want to keep informed on what's going on in the government, I'm sorry, I know I'm having a little bit of trouble talking, but it's how it happens sometimes. If you want to stay informed on government news, this is where you need to be. Smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. I post videos every single day. And like I always say, hopefully one day I'll post more than just one video per day. I'll be able to post 3 or 4 videos per day. I would love to be able to do this for a living. So if you guys could help me with that, smash that subscribe button. Share this on Twitter, on Facebook. Share it wherever you want. Spread the word. If you don't mind, it would be a big help to me and I would appreciate it. Thanks. But let's go ahead and get into today's news because there's always something to talk about. All right, so we've got this article here from a standard NBC local news TV station, right? And they're trying to give their opinion on how things have been going on with Congress, how things in Congress have been playing out. And they give kind of a negative spin on it. And I'm just here to set the record straight, if you will. So let's get into it, y'all. McCarthy was ditched and Santos expelled. The House is making history, but not as the GOP envisioned. Now, I can agree with that headline. They didn't envision this, but it's all for the good, unlike what Miss Lisa Mascaro from the Associated Press thinks. The House is making history this year in ways that Republicans could hardly have envisioned when the party took control. Correct. First, the Republicans voted to oust their Speaker, Rep. Kevin McCarthy, in October. On Friday, they voted to get rid of one of their own, indicted Rep. George Santos of New York. Yes, and these are both very, very good things. The mainstream narrative machine spun both of these as a negative, but they were not negative. We'll get into that. Never before had a House majority voted to evict its Speaker, and not since the Civil War had the chamber voted to expel a member who was charged but not convicted of a crime. These are facts. See, they love to give out the facts first, and then they're going to give their opinion. The results has been a dizzying 11 months in a House majority riven by infighting, chiseling away at the powers of Congress, and it's taking its toll on the actual business of governing. Now, see, when you hear this, you're like, oh yeah, that's true, huh? The Republicans sure are screwing up. But no, hang on. That's not true. The Republicans get into power, they take 3 or 4 days to vote in a House Speaker, right? Because that is a very prominent, very powerful position for somebody to have. So they wanted to make sure they got it right. So, yes, it took them a few days. That was spun as a negative. That was not a negative in my eyes. That's a very, very tough decision to make. That is third in line for the presidency. If just so happens the president and the vice president get taken out, the Speaker of the House, it takes over control of the executive branch. That's how things work. That's a very, very important process. I mean, we elect a president and vice president, and that presidential cycle usually runs for about a year and a half. I mean, think about it. We're a year away from the 2024 election, and Donald Trump has been campaigning for almost a year. So for Donald Trump, it's been almost a 2-year process for this. Yeah, so it's very, very important, and so is the Speaker of the House. That's why it took them so long to do it. They're not just going to pick somebody. That is a good thing. When the Democrats just pick Nancy Pelosi like they did, just willy-nilly, and every single Democrat voted for Nancy Pelosi, you know, that kind of makes you sit back and think, I wonder why they all thought this person was the best person for the job, when Nancy Pelosi was a very, very corrupt person, right? We've went over this before. It's well-known facts that Nancy Pelosi, or her husband, has done quite a bit of insider trading, legally, mind you. This is all legal. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's not corrupt. Yeah, legal loopholes is what they call that. So that means the Democrat Party seems to be a machine working toward a common goal. And that common goal doesn't seem to be working for me and you. Because if they're lining their own pockets while making it look like they're working for me and you, yeah, I take issue with that. That is called evil. But let's keep going. As the year comes to a close, the arc of power for the House Republicans is at an inflection point. A new era of performance politics and chaotic governing that shows no signs of easing. What do you mean by that, Associated Press? What do you mean chaotic governing? What they have been doing with ousting Kevin McCarthy and ousting George Santos is called eliminating corruption, right? Kevin McCarthy lied to the entirety of the United States, but he betrayed the Republican Party. He lied to the Republican Party, so they ousted him for that. That is a net positive. Now we have Mike Johnson. He hasn't been in there long enough, but he's doing good things so far. Then we get rid of George Santos, a very, very seemingly corrupt individual who, it has essentially been proven, not quite proven, he purchased prostitutes on OnlyFans, buying pornography with campaign funds, buying Botox injections with campaign funds, purchasing clothes for himself with campaign funds, purchasing personal vacations with campaign funds. Yes, this is not a good dude, so they got rid of him. How is that a negative thing? See, that's why I don't understand the mainstream narrative machine, man. How are they going to spin this as negative? Is it messy? Yeah, sure, said Republican Mike Lawler, among the New Yorkers who led the ouster of Santos. But when you're actually governing in a democratic republic, it can be messy. Yeah, it can. When you're trying to dislodge corruption from a corrupt machine, yeah, it can get a bit messy because that corruption doesn't want to come off of the machine. In many ways, Santos is a product and practitioner of a new way of governing, a system that rewards big personalities who rise to prominence with charismatic, if often extreme public personas, rather than the quieter work that governs the nation. That's right. Politicians have become a popularity contest. Look at Trump. Instead of shying from the exposure, Santos, who is accused of fabricating much of his life story, embraced his moment in history, another segment of his celebrity run in Congress. Before the House vote, Santos held a news conference on the Capitol steps, breezily answering questions about his future, and whether his shoes were purchased illegally with campaign funds or not. He defended himself against the bullying and decried the smear against him. This is my battle, Santos said, acknowledging he would have done a lot of things differently. Yeah, if you're willing to admit you would have done a lot of things differently, and you've only been in Congress for a year, yeah, there's something wrong with that. Santos doubled down on his own personal narrative, not as the fraudster he is charged with being, but as the representative of New Yorkers who sent him to Congress and who, he argued, are the ones who should decide whether or not to remove him. I'm sorry, that's just not how the Constitution works. It's a pretty good idea to have these checks and balances that we have. It makes for getting corrupt people out. If it wasn't for the House having the ability to expel congressmen, the public might not ever know about Santos's corruption. So how can the public oust him if they don't know about his corruption? I happen to like that system. His quick ascent in politics as an outsider, modeled partly after Donald Trump, is reflective of this postmodern political era and the power of a single lawmaker to become famous for being famous. Now, he didn't have a quick ascent into politics. What the hell are they talking about? He wasn't very popular at all. The only reason he became prominent is because of his corruption. So that would be more becoming infamous for being corrupt. Yeah, I don't understand the narrative machine and what was the point of that. They're trying to lump Santos in with Donald Trump, who is not even the same, not even close to the same. Donald Trump is an American first politician now, businessman who wants to do right for the country. Santos is just a political hack that thought he could get away with corruption. Santos joined a diverse class of younger freshman lawmakers who were changing the face of the GOP. Yeah. His celebrity status only rose after the outrageous embellishments he made about his background, his experience, even his family heritage came to light. Yeah, well, that's him saying he's not Jewish, he's Jewish. Essentially, the bulk of Santos's life story appears to have been made up. A scathing House ethics report found overwhelming evidence of law breaking by Santos, including questionable campaign expenditures on items like Botox. He pleaded not guilty to federal charges that duped donors. His swift downfall shows the GOP's willingness to turn on its own, particularly when it's political expedient, even at the risk of losing another dependable vote for their slim majority that now teeters amid retirements. Right. That is a good thing. You are rooting out corruption. Why are they trying to spin this as a negative? His swift downfall. Yeah, right. But Republicans split over ousting Santos, just as they did earlier in October over the removal of McCarthy as Speaker after he engineered passage of legislation with Democrats that averted a government shutdown. Right. He lied. So they're trying to say he engineered passage of legislation with Democrats that averted a government shutdown. See, they're trying to spin McCarthy lying to the Republicans as averting a government shutdown. Wow. Yeah, go ahead, machine. There are people out there that can decipher this crap, though. That's what I'm here for. One was a mistake and one was righteous and necessary, said Rep. Nick Lolota about the 2 votes. What we did today was righteous and necessary if we are going to claim the mantle of being the party of accountability. No. I'm sorry, dude. You're wrong. Both of them were righteous and both of them were necessary. But Trump ally Rep. Matt Gaetz of Florida, who orchestrated McCarthy's ouster, led a wing of Republicans defending Santos's right to his day in court. This is where I differ with Matt Gaetz. I'm sorry. That House Ethics report did it for me. Yeah. They do pretty extensive investigations into stuff like this. And if they found wrongdoing, that's pretty much guilty as to me. He will get his day in court, Matt. He most definitely will get his day in court. But being a congressman is a privilege, right? You are voted into office. That is nothing like your right to a fair trial, or your right to liberty, life, and pursuit of happiness, or your rights to free speech. Has nothing to do with that. Those are rights. Being in Congress is a privilege. The roll call became a test for the new Speaker Mike Johnson, who told lawmakers they should vote their conscience, as leaders do, to signal there's no preferred party position. That's right. That's a good position to have. There was a moment during the 2 days of debate when it seemed as if Santos might be able to hang on, but in the end, even the supportive votes from leadership were not enough, and more than two-thirds required tally in the House voted to expel him. Time is slipping for another year in business in Congress, including passage of the annual spending bills needed to keep the government running. That's McCarthy's fault. He had all year to pass those appropriations bills, and he sat on his hands. It's the same dilemma that contributed to McCarthy's ouster as his party demands steep cuts. The risk of shutdown has hovered all year, and the next deadline for funding is January 19th. Johnson told lawmakers they would soon turn to vote to formally authorize the impeachment inquiry against President Joe Biden over the business dealings of his son, Hunter. Right. A vote could come as soon as next week, but it's uncertain that the House, now down a Republican member, will have enough votes for the next priority historic impeachment proceedings. No, they won't go anywhere. I can promise you that. They don't have enough evidence, according to them, to impeach Joe Biden. And I feel like they're correct. They don't have enough to connect him. We can all look and see that Joe Biden was corrupt. He was involved in his son's business dealings. Everybody can see that with clear eyes. That can't be denied. But what can be denied is there physical evidence actually proving it? No, there's not. I'm sorry. We can all tell that he is corrupt. We just can't prove it. That's just like many people think Donald Trump is one of the most corrupt people in the planet. And there's a lot less evidence to prove that against Trump than there is Biden. So there you go with that. Nothing ever seems to stick to Donald Trump. He's going to come out on top on all of these cases because they're all bullshit. And that's the same to say for Joe Biden. If he were to go to impeachment, nothing would happen at all. He could get impeached from the House, but the Senate is just going to acquit him. He's not going to be convicted. That's just a fact. So it seems like the impeachment is a waste of time, but because of the Constitution and because of all this evidence, they have to try. And I totally understand that. Try your full heart out. It's just not going to go anywhere. And that's the same sentiment for this video. It's not going anywhere anymore. This is it. This is the end. I've come to a complete halt. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know down in the comments what you think about all this. Is all this crap that's going on with the Republicans, a negative? Is it bad governing to get rid of corruption? And let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this. And like I said, that's all I got for this one. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.